This all just came out over the weekend, and I've been a wreck. My wife was 24 when we met. I was 22. When we met, we were both in school, and she was in a relationship with her boyfriend at the time. They had been together for 5 years. We became friends through school and had to work on a few assignments together. Everything was very platonic. I remember asking about her boyfriend, and she explained to me that they had been together since she was 19, so together for 5 years, but she felt like the relationship was over. They weren't intimate much, and he was somewhat emotionally abusive. He dictated her outfits, told her she was too fat, she wasn't, and always showed her other women and how he'd rather be with them. He even cheated on her a few times and was openly dating other women near the end of their relationship. She called me one day, as a friend, to complain about what was going on. She told me that he had told her he wanted to explore other women and felt like they should break up. She was pretty upset. I took her out for lunch and basically just listened to her and supported her as a friend. The next week, she called me again, this time to let me know that he had dumped her and he was moving out of the house they shared. I was a young dude and thought, hey, perfect, I'll be a rebound and try to get with her. Shitty on my part, but as a 22-year-old guy, I didn't care. I took her out to dinner and we started having regular dates. They still lived together, and our conversations were heavily centered around her breakup and the drama it entailed. I'd pick her up from their house and we'd go hang out. This went on for a few weeks, and we ended up sleeping together one night when I brought her back to my place. After that, I really started to develop feelings. Knowing I really liked her, I asked her to be my girlfriend. She was still living with her ex, as he hadn't moved out yet. So now I was dating a girl exclusively who still lived with her ex-boyfriend. I trusted her that nothing was going on, and the relationship was dead. She seemed to really hate him. For timeline purposes, I'll reiterate that they broke up, and 1 month later, I asked her to be my exclusive girlfriend. We continued being all about each other, and I was there to support her as she kicked him out. He ended up moving out a few weeks later when he finally found his own place. At this point, it was nice to know he was fully moved out. So we started to feel like a real relationship without any other drama of her ex. A week later, which was about a month of us being exclusive, I had planned a date night for us. We were supposed to meet at 7 p.m. at a restaurant in town. I texted her an hour before and didn't hear back. I tried calling, no answer. I ended up driving over to her place, and she wasn't home. I started to worry, but there wasn't anything I could do. She ended up calling me at 11 p.m. that night, apologizing profusely because she had been at a friend's house studying for finals and had left her phone in the car. She said she totally forgot about our date and felt terrible. I told her it was okay and didn't think too much about it. I trusted her. Everything went on as normal. A week later, her ex-boyfriend started harassing her, calling her non-stop. She said that she told him to leave her alone and that he wanted her back, but she didn't want to be with him. It actually got to a point that he'd sit outside her house for hours at a time. I was over there one day, and she called the police when he showed up. She ended up filing a restraining order against him, and we never heard from him again. About a year later, we had some drinks, and she let it slip that she was actually over at his house the night she claimed to be studying and left her phone. She apologized profusely and told me that his mom was in town, and she was trying to help him get her back. She agreed to have dinner with both of them and talk about their relationship. She was very close to his mom, so she agreed to meet them out for dinner to just talk. She said that after dinner, she went back to his new place with his mom, and the three of them continued talking. She said it got late, and she stayed the night instead of driving home. I was obviously upset about the whole thing, but she said she had explained to him that she no longer wanted to be in a relationship with him and had moved on. She said nothing happened. Several times over the next several years, I pressed her about that night. I felt very insecure about it. Every time I asked her if she cheated on me, she said she didn't. She said that she just went over there to talk and fell asleep after she called me. She said she felt terrible lying, but was feeling bad about everything and was so fresh out of her breakup that she didn't know how to handle it. But she stayed firm in her claim that she had never cheated on me. We ended up getting married and having 3 kids. This past weekend, I pressed her one last time about that evening. I told her something wasn't sitting right with me after all these years. It randomly popped into my head and I asked her one more time, "What really happened that night? I'm not sure if I believe you or your story." She broke down crying, and I knew. She explained to me that she never wanted to tell me the truth. She said she did go over to his house with him and his mom, but his mom ended up leaving, and they sat and talked about their relationship. She said that one thing led to another, and they ended up having sex on the sofa. She said she was confused about her feelings, being 2 months out of her 5-year relationship with him, and dating me. She said that she hadn't processed the ending of that relationship and was confused about what she wanted, as he had dumped her but was then begging for her back. She told me they had sex, then she called me as I was calling her non-stop worried about her. She ended up staying the night there and went home in the morning. After that, she told him that she didn't want to get back with him and they needed to stay apart. I know it all stopped because very clearly she was avoiding him and went as far as getting a restraining order against him in the following weeks. But now, here I sit, feeling shattered. She confessed to lying to me for the past 13 years and had been gaslighting me. Every time I asked her about that night, she denied anything inappropriate happening. I started to feel crazy and insecure and had accepted that I was just losing my mind. But now I know that she did cheat on me that night. I suppose I can make excuses for her, telling myself that I began dating a girl who had just been dumped by a guy she was with for 5 years, accepting that I was a rebound, and she was even still living with him in the beginning. I believe her that she hasn't cheated any other time, and there was just an overlap in her relationship with him and myself. That being said, I'm still severely hurt by the lie, and I'm feeling very confused about how to feel about this. We've been together for 13 years. We have 3 kids, and we've had an otherwise great relationship. This new information is all so much. I'm even considering divorce here. After 13 years, finding out that she cheated on me during our first month of being exclusive and then lied to me about it this whole time, I'm a wreck. I know I need to process this before I take any action, but I wanted to share on Reddit for some perspective and clarity. She's been apologizing profusely and has reassured me over and over that she feels terrible, and that she only lied because she knew it would never happen again. She knew she wanted to be completely done with that relationship after that night, and was just confused in the beginning, transitioning from a 5-year relationship with him to a new relationship with him to a new relationship with me. She understands why I'm devastated. She also keeps reminding me that she was young, hurt, confused, and didn't know what she wanted until after that night when she realized she wanted to be completely done with him. I'm certain she hasn't stepped out on our relationship any other time. If I were to ever question anything, it would have been that one night where she disappeared and I didn't know where she was. After that, I always knew where she was and who she was with, and I've never had any reason to suspect anything was wrong. Do I need to slow down and work on forgiving her, or does this sound divorce-worthy? I love her with everything I have, and we've built a family and life together, but this is the hardest thing I've ever had to learn. Story number 2. Wife cheated and tried to take her life. My soon-to-be ex-wife and I were together for over 25 years. 20 2 of those married. Prior to this, there were no infidelities or large problems. We have 4 children, a pair of twins, boy and girl, 20 years old, a son who's 19, and our youngest daughter who is 15. I filed for divorce in mid-December and had her move out of our home and back with her parents. Got a lot of voicemails left and emails and even handwritten letters about how sorry she is about what she's done, but I never replied in any way. When it finally dawned on her I was really going through this and there was nothing she could do to stop it, she attempted suicide. In all likelihood, she would have died had her parents not stayed at home to keep an eye on her. From what I've been told, she tried to overdose on pills, but no one knows where she got them in the first place. Her infidelity apparently became fully physical only recently, late November or early December. But even before that, she was emotionally cheating for at least a few months before that. I don't care to find out how long, since it wouldn't really help me in any way. Since it was a married man with whom she had the affair, I'd notified his wife, so he's getting divorced too. Add to that, they're co-workers, which is how they met in the first place, and I assume they used work time to start the affair. For those that are going to ask, how did you find out? The answer is, I didn't. Our son and daughter, the twins, did. They saw their mother kissing with the other man in public. The place in question isn't somewhere where any of us usually pass through, and then they proceeded to inform me. I started digging around and found more than enough evidence of a prolonged affair. I don't have many deal breakers, and believe that marriage is something that's a continuous work in progress. You have to do your part to keep it alive and well, but cheating is something that I absolutely will not overlook or forgive. To cheat is to take a shit on all the time you spent together, to take a dump on your shared lives. It's nothing more than selfishness and cruelty. I'm just telling you so you can understand me a bit better. Maybe, but that's a really, really reaching maybe. I could have tried to look past this if it had been a one-time thing, and she immediately came to me, contrite and remorseful. But she wasn't. I mean, she only started sobbing and bawling once she got caught, and that to me is utterly worthless. It's easy to cry once your shit is put into the spotlight, but before all this, I've never noticed anything remorseful about her or any sign of guilt. I just can't live with someone like that. Thankfully, all of the kids were supportive and understanding when I told them I was going to divorce their mother. Our youngest cried more than I did, but said I was doing the right thing for all of us. She did ask me if she could live with me. The other 3 already have places of their own, by their own choice, and I told her she didn't even have to ask. I think that's the best thing in this situation overall. Just having the kids there, showing me not all of those years being with my wife were a waste. Whatever she's like now, I can at least be grateful for our children, if nothing else. I love them more than anything. Unfortunately, nearly everyone we know, barring the friends who were my friends before they became the families, are trying to get me to stop the divorce and talk to her, go into counseling, or some other nonsense. More so after the suicide attempt. Needless to say, all those people are on my shit list, and I've cut all forms of communication with them. Sadly, that includes the in-laws, whom I've really loved before all this happened, since I'm an orphan myself, and saw them as the family I never had. They tried getting to me through their grandkids, which has soured them on visiting their grandparents in the near future. The kids tell me they love them, but they just can't be around them at this time because they're being so overbearing. They've also chosen to distance themselves from their mother, though they're still in touch, obviously. I'm in therapy myself, going through some counseling because for all that's happened, I feel nothing. When I look back at finding out about all this, I see the lack of rage and hurt is very worrying. My therapist says I've numbed myself on purpose to help me get through this easier. I don't know. Before all this, if anyone asked me how I felt about my marriage and wife, I'd probably tell them I was as happy as I could be with a big smile on my face. Now, nothing. When I heard about the suicide attempt, you might as well have told me the weather forecast for the day. I didn't feel anything. I was angry, in a way, as to what this could have done to our children. But beyond that, her trying to kill herself just doesn't get a reaction out of me. I'm not happy that she's realized how much she's ruined our lives, but I'm not feeling any sort of empathy either. I can't. It's just that I look at the situation and think yes, and how is that any concern of mine? I'm not like that. Or at least I don't think I was like that before all of this. And my therapist assures me the numbness will pass. It's part of the healing process. But here we are, more than a month later, and I still feel nothing about what happened. I'm honestly not sure if that's good or bad. I'll just have to wait and see. As to the rest of my life, the friends who stayed true to me aren't letting me spend much time alone. They understand that I do need some time for myself every now and again, but they don't want me too alone. It all seems so different now, you know. Now, my main concern here is about our kids. For now, they're keeping away from her, of their own free choice. I didn't poison them against their mother, or anything of the sort. They just don't want to talk to her much at all. Our youngest has been hit the hardest by her mother's infidelity, and I've been thinking of maybe having her go for some therapy too, if we can't resolve this on our own. This is what really bothers me about the whole thing, that our children reacted so severely to their mother's infidelity. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't glad that they did react negatively to it, because it goes to show that they understand that adultery is no small matter, and that it can, like it has for us, destroy marriages and families. But I'm worried about the long term. Will they get over this? Will they eventually form a tangible relationship with their mother? Will they heal? If any of you folks have been in any situation as similar as ours, please share your experiences. With a heavy heart, I type this message, unsure if this is the right place to seek guidance. My situation feels so vastly different from those around me, and I am filled with desperation. It's been 25 years since my wife and I first fell in love, and 19 of those have been spent as husband and wife. We were high school sweethearts, two young souls bound by an unbreakable connection. Over the years, we were blessed with two incredible children, our daughter and son. I always believed that our marriage was built on a solid foundation, one that could weather any storm. But now, faced with the harsh reality of our crumbling relationship, I realized just how naive and wrong I was. The shattered pieces of what once was linger in my mind, a constant reminder of all that has been lost. Throughout our adult lives, my wife has dedicated herself to being a stay-at-home mom, a decision we both agreed was best for our family. After our kids left for college, however, she began to feel restless and lost in the empty nest syndrome. She confided in me that she felt unfulfilled and had lost sight of her own identity. I desperately tried to suggest new hobbies we could do together, places we could travel to, or even adopting puppies as a way to fill the void. At first, she seemed enthusiastic about these ideas, but soon expressed a desire to do more than just coast through life. I understood her need for purpose and growth, and was eager to support her. It didn't surprise me that she struggled with staying still. She's always been one to constantly be on the move and embrace new challenges. After complaining to a few friends about her lack of career opportunities, one of them managed to secure an interview for her at a prestigious real estate firm. I was just as excited as she was when she accepted the job. In the beginning, everything seemed perfect. She was thriving in her new role, and we were both proud of her success. But after the first year, I started to notice some changes in her behavior. She began going out for drinks with her co-workers, texting more frequently at home, and even late into the night. Her wardrobe also underwent a subtle transformation, opting for more suggestive clothing that accentuated her figure in ways she never had before. However, what truly raised my suspicions was when I accidentally saw a message from a male colleague on her phone. The contents of the message were highly inappropriate and flirtatious. When I confronted her about it, she seemed shaken but assured me he was just a friend and that she would talk to him about his behavior. Wanting to trust my wife and not be controlling or paranoid, I chose to believe her and let it go, a decision I regret now. As time passed, her actions became increasingly erratic. She spoke of wanting more spontaneity in life and even took up smoking weed. I couldn't help but make jokes about her seeming to relive the college lifestyle of our children. I gently suggested she slow down, but one night, after another evening of going out and drinking, she dropped a bombshell on me. In a slurred state, she mentioned that perhaps I was holding her back and dulling her shine. It was like a punch to the gut. I had never considered that I may be hindering her in some way. Feeling blindsided, I did everything in my power to improve our marriage. I booked counseling sessions and went to couples retreats, but it all seemed to lead nowhere and only furthered the divide between us. Suddenly, like a bolt of lightning from the clear blue sky, my wife's strange behavior came to an abrupt halt. She sat me down and apologized for her actions, admitting that she had felt lost and disconnected from herself. But at that moment, looking around at our home and family, she realized what she had and didn't want to lose it. Without hesitation, she resigned from her job, and we began marriage counseling together. At first, it was a challenge, but as time went on, our relationship grew stronger than ever before. My wife became more attentive, initiating intimacy and showering me with affection constantly. However, there was one issue that continued to bother me. Her relationship with our daughter seemed to be declining rapidly. Every time I brought it up, my wife would brush it off as a phase or a normal part of being a woman, and foolishly, I believed her every time. But during this period, something miraculous happened. My own relationship with my daughter flourished. She started calling me more often and meeting me for coffee or lunch during the week. On special occasions, she even surprised me with gifts like t-shirts or small trinkets. Though I insisted they were unnecessary, I could tell she had something on her mind each time she gave me one, but held back from speaking up. The evening was like any other until tragedy struck. My wife had gone out to do some grocery shopping and was returning home when a drunk driver careened into her car, shattering our lives in an instant. The once vibrant and active woman I married was now bound to a wheelchair, her legs rendered useless by the accident. As days turned into weeks and months, things went from bad to worse as she struggled with her new reality. In moments of despair, she would suggest that I sleep with other women, unable to give me what she felt I deserved. But my love for her was unwavering, and I would gently remind her that I was here to stay no matter what our circumstances may be. These conversations often ended in tears as she questioned why someone like me would choose to stay with someone like her. And every time, I would simply hold her close and tell her that it was because I loved her unconditionally, regardless of our situation. Through her tears and struggles with depression, I remained by her side, doing my best to support and care for her in any way possible. As the day progressed, we eventually made our way to the doctor's office for our long-awaited medical checkups. The sterile smell of disinfectant filled the air as we nervously sat in the waiting room, anticipating our turn. Finally, the doctor called us into his office and delivered the shocking news. They had discovered a mass in my wife's throat that was abnormally large. The word cancer hung heavy in the air as he explained that a biopsy would need to be done to confirm their suspicions. My initial reaction was one of utter shock, but my wife's response was unexpected. She simply laughed. At first, it was a small chuckle, but it quickly turned into hysterical laughter as she mumbled about this being her punishment. I managed to calm her down, but she requested something unexpected before the biopsy, a family dinner. Without hesitation, I agreed, and we gathered our children and immediate family for a night of togetherness. In my speech, I praised my wife as the light of my life and promised that we would get through this together. However, as I looked at my daughter's discomfort throughout the evening, I couldn't help but wonder if it was because of what was going on with her mother. As the sun set on the horizon, my phone rang and I saw it was my daughter calling. Her voice sounded different, slurred and shaky, and I could tell she had been drinking. My heart clenched with worry as she begged me not to hate her. I reassured her that I would never hate her, my precious little girl, and that no matter what, I would always love her. Her words were interrupted by sobs as she confessed to something that shattered my world. It turns out that while my wife was busy climbing the corporate ladder at the real estate firm, my daughter had gone on a road trip with some friends. They decided to stop at a diner they don't normally go to for a bite to eat, but instead of food, my daughter found betrayal. She caught her mother in a passionate embrace with a man she had never seen before. It was like a scene from a movie, their lips locked in an intimate dance, oblivious to the world around them. And this wasn't just any man, he was nothing like me. My daughter's heartbreak and anger spilled through the phone as she revealed that this was the reason for our failed marriage and why our relationship had deteriorated. As painful as it was to hear, I couldn't help but feel grateful for her honesty and relieved that our bond had grown stronger in the midst of such turmoil. I confronted my wife in a moment of gut-wrenching honesty. To her credit, she didn't deny it. Tears streamed down her face as she confirmed what I already knew. The co-worker from the messages was more than just a flirty acquaintance. She admitted that it was the dumbest thing she had ever done, but said he had relentlessly pursued her until she finally caved. As she spoke, her words carried the weight of regret and shame. She explained that getting caught by our daughter had been a wake-up call, making her realize the gravity of her actions. She wanted to keep it hidden, never wanting to hurt me, but also too cowardly to confess. She even begged our child to stay quiet about it. My heart felt like it had been ripped open as I tried to process this betrayal. Every aspect of our relationship was now called into question, and I couldn't help but wonder where I went wrong. Through tears and sobs, she reassured me that I had been a good husband and none of this was my fault. But since the truth came out, I couldn't bring myself to show her any love or affection. Our interactions became more like those between a nurse and patient rather than a husband and wife. The thought of leaving her crossed my mind, but then I remembered how dependent she was on me, financially and emotionally, and it seemed incredibly unfair to leave her stranded. I apologize if this all seems jumbled and scattered. My thoughts are in disarray as I try to make sense of everything that has happened. My emotions are in turmoil, and I'm struggling to find a way forward from this devastating blow. Update. The outpouring of support from both strangers on the post and messages in my inbox was overwhelming. It brought a sense of comfort and reassurance that we were not alone in our struggles. I did something that I am deeply ashamed of. My wife has always pushed me to share my true feelings and thoughts about her, no matter how ugly or cruel they may be. After my first post in the afternoon, as I prepared lunch for her as I always do, she suddenly grabbed my hand and begged me once again to open up to her. She couldn't bear the way I had been treating her since our D-Day, and so I exploded with pent-up emotions. Everything inside of me came rushing out. I told her that she was perfection to me, but since this betrayal, she has become used in my eyes. The very sound of her voice used to fill me with love and desire to give her the world, but now, just being around her makes me want to run away and never look back. I confess that she feels like a dead weight around my neck that will never leave because it needs me to survive. Despite all of this pain, she is still the first thing on my mind when I wake up in the morning and the last thing on my mind before I fall asleep at night. But those thoughts are accompanied by a pain so intense that I didn't know it was possible to feel. It makes me absolutely miserable because somehow, despite everything, I still need her. My longing to hold her in my arms is met with a flood of painful memories, images of her with another man betraying our love. But what cuts deepest is the fact that she dragged our innocent daughter into this mess. She thoughtlessly put our little girl in an impossible position and expected life to continue as normal. As I confronted my wife, tears streaming down her face, she admitted to deserving all the consequences coming her way. She begged for forgiveness, sharing how she has tirelessly tried to make amends for the despicable choice she made during that dark time. And though our daughter's relationship with her remains unchanged on the surface, it is a constant reminder of her actions and their impact. Through sobs and apologies, my wife confessed her remorse and guilt, willing to do anything to help me heal and recover from this heartbreak. She wanted me to know that even if I never forgive her and choose to end our marriage, she will always love only me. She holds no regrets about our life together, despite its current state, because it was more than she ever dreamed of. But behind her tear-stained face lies a woman who can barely stand to look at herself in the mirror. The reflection staring back at her is someone she never wanted to be. She vows to never let herself become that person again. As I look at her, I can see the self-loathing in her eyes for what she has done. My feelings are in turmoil. Is it possible to love someone deeply, yet also hate them intensely? The inner conflict within me is overwhelming. I know I need to address this, so I have booked therapy for my wife and myself. There is so much I want to say to her, but I fear losing control and saying things that may cause irreparable damage. Speaking in a controlled environment seems like the best option. But there's another urge consuming me, to speak with the man who came between us. It may seem futile after all these years, but I feel an intense need to do so for my own peace of mind. Who was this audacious individual who dared to intrude on a sacred bond between husband and wife? Perhaps during our therapy session, I will ask for his information. I am grateful for all of your support and guidance during this difficult time. Thank you all once again from the bottom of my heart. That's it for today's episode, but the conversation doesn't end here. What we've uncovered together is more than just a story. It's a reflection on the resilience and complexity of human relationships. As you reflect on this tale, think about the roles we play, the choices we make, and how they shape our lives and those around us. If this story struck a chord, or if you have insights or experiences of your own to share, I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below, share this video, and let's keep this important discussion going. Remember, each story shared is a step towards understanding the intricate dance of love and commitment. Thank you for joining me on this emotional journey. Subscribe for more heartfelt stories and insights. And until next time, keep seeking the truth in the stories we share. Goodbye for now, and take care. It can often be said that there is a thin line between love and hate. Many of us walk this line every day. Friends, family, and co-workers, I can't believe I once liked that guy. Then there are those that are always telling you about the human condition or how you need to stop being so hateful. They are the ones that talk about showing your humanity. Me? I just worry about my condition and that of my family. It's good to have friends, but be realistic. Friends you can only be trusted so far. And in my case, not all family or friends had my back. This was a hard lesson that I learned firsthand. The good thing in all this was, I found out who my real family and friends are. My name is Pace Jensen. I'm 29 years old, ex-football player, and an avid runner. I am married to Amy. She is a hot little mama with the attitude to match. But the best thing in my life is that I'm a father of 3 little boys. Amy and I had been married for about 7 years at the time of our downfall. The reason we had kids so fast and often was I couldn't get enough of my wife. I lived and breathed Amy. That's where I believe was my downfall begun. We took our vows. It was the day after our college graduation. Amy majored in secondary education and I majored in management information systems. Amy landed a job at one of the elite private schools in Dallas, and I worked for Empire Funding. We had a pretty good start out in life. During our marriage, there were ups and downs like most marriages, but nothing major. I think our first fight was when I wanted to buy a 1968 Shelby Cobra. To top it off was a candy apple, red with 2 white stripes down the middle. Unlike some people I know, I could afford a $100,000 car, but I do love classic ones. Anyway, like I said, Amy and I had a great life. We lived pretty close to my family, which I thought was a good thing. My mom and dad were in their 50s, and also had a younger brother named Rob. Rob was 17 and attended the same high school that Amy taught in. In fact, she taught one of his classes. I think Rob was an oops baby because he was 12 years younger than me. Rob and I were as close as you can be to a little brother who is 12 years younger than you. When anything happened or when Rob needed something, I was the one expected to make the sacrifice. That was how my family lived. It was our motto, you need to man up and deal with it. Be the hero, son. Just let your little brother have it. You'll come out better in the long run. My father said that so much, it got to the point where I would just walk away. Another good thing in my life was my best friend, Jeffrey Parks. He was the brother that I wish I had. We had been best buds since the 3rd grade, and if anyone knew how I felt, he did. Jeff was an attorney, and I expected him to cover my back in all legal matters. Anyway, last Monday, when I got home, Amy told me she had taken the boys over to her sister's house. It was 4 doors down. When she told me that, I figured that she wanted some alone time, if you know what I mean, but she said she wanted to tell me something. I didn't think life could get any better, but then Amy said she was pregnant. I wanted to know when the baby was due, so we could start buying things before the baby got here. I think I was as happy as a man could be. Hell, I just hoped this one would be a little girl so I could spoil her to death. But for some reason, Amy was a little out of it and had this faraway look on her face. I asked her what was wrong. Pace, it's not your child. Amy said it so softly I didn't catch it. What's going on, Horn? Why are you so down? Pace, I love you, but I'm not having any more of your kids, said Amy. I was a little taken aback and asked her why. Amy, you always said you wanted a big family, so why the sudden change? Pace, Lord, this is going to be hard. Then Amy started walking around like whatever she going to say would be life-changing. Amy, I love you no matter what, so just tell me how you feel right now. Just say it. Then she stopped, pulled out her phone, and hit speed dial. Can you come over here, please? Whomever she was talking to, It sounded like they knew more about this than I did. "Amy, who was that, and what in the hell is going on?" Amy said, "Just hold on, Pace. I need help getting my words through to you." I asked her who was coming over and what it was that she just couldn't tell me without help. "Hell, if you can't tell your husband, who else in the hell could you tell?" All kinds of things went through my head, none of them good, but what was coming next blew me away. 2 minutes later, the doorbell rang. Amy answered it, and when she came back, she was being followed by my mom, my dad, and my 17-year brother Rob. "Okay, Amy, what the fuck is going on?" "Pace. Shit how I can say this without hurting you," said Amy. Rob just interjected. "Look, Pace, Amy is in love with me. That's what she wants to say. Mom and Dad are here to back us up," said Rob. "Look, bro, shit happens. We didn't mean to fall in love, but we did. The kid she is carrying is mine, and we need you to get on board with this. Amy and I are going to be a family, whether you like it or not." I started laughing like this is some kind of joke, right? It had to be. I said, "Look, Amy, what is that you want to tell me?" No one was laughing. I looked back at Amy. She was looking at her feet. "Amy, please look at me and tell me this is not true. Tell me you're not this fucking stupid." My dad said, "Son, I know this is hard, but what's done is done. I know you're hurting right now, but Rob is your brother, and so how we have to find a way to pull through this. We know it asking a lot, but sacrifices have to be made." I asked, "My mom, was she a part of this?" She said, "Son, I love both of my boys. I don't want this to tear our family apart. You have to find a way to live with this. We're all family. You have to be the hero in this. You need to find it in your heart to not be angry and do the right thing." I couldn't believe they were asking me to just set aside my life for a snot-nosed little prick because I was older. At that moment, I mean the exact moment, I started hating them all. The fine line between love and had been broken. The question is, how much hate could I man have toward my family? The very family that was betraying me from all sides, my wife, brother, and what kind of parent would go along with this travesty? Little did I know it was only going to get worse. I couldn't stand it anymore. I turned and walked out with Amy and Mom in tow. Amy was being pulled back by Rob, and my dad was called my mom. I walked the 4 houses down to get my kids. I was met at her sister's house by Deputy Sheriff. For a moment, I thought Amy's sister Rachel was in on it too, but she looked as shocked as I did. The Deputy Sheriff told me that I was forbidden from seeing my kids till the courts could decide custody. I looked back, and Amy, the hate was growing more and more as each second passed. I asked the sheriff if I was allowed back in my own house. He asked whose name was on mortgage. I said mine and mine alone. Since there wasn't any order barring me from my house, I turned to go home. As I walked past my dad, he grabbed my arm. "Pace, listen. Son, please don't do anything you'll regret later," said my dad. "We all need to sit down and talk this out like adults." I looked at him and said, "Don't you ever call me fucking son again." "No. Get your fucking hand off me, or you'll live to regret it." "Now leave me alone, all you backstabbing bitches." I looked at Amy and told her, "If I were you, I'd get a lawyer and a good one. Enjoy the kids while you can whore. Now get the fuck off my property, slut, and take these assholes with you." Before I could take another step, Rob took a shot at me. He caught me on the right side of my face. Before I could swing back, my dad grabbed me and Rob hit me again. I was lucky that Rob hits like a bitch, otherwise I would have been hurt. The sheriff jumped off the porch, ran, and tackled Rob. I broke free from my dad and punched him in the mouth. He fell to the ground, and the look on his face was utter shock. He would never believe that Pace, the sensible child, would get so pissed. When the fight was over, Rob and his dad were arrested for assault, but little did I know the best was yet to come. A couple of days later, I was called by the assistant district attorney and asked to give a statement. While giving my statement, I just happened to mention that it all started because my 29-year-old wife of 7 years was pregnant by 17-year-old brother. I also told the assistant district attorney that he was starting the 12th grade at the same school Amy taught in. The assistant district attorney seemed to take some interest in that tiny bit of information. 2 days later, I went to see the one person whom I could depend on, Jeffrey Parks, attorney at law. I arrived at his office in good spirits. It turned out to be another trip in the betrayal on the Pace-Jensen Freeway. While waiting for him to finish, he walked out with his new client. Amy looked over, saw me, and smirked. I looked at Jeff and said, "Really, Jeff, you would do this to me?" Jeffrey Parks turned and walked away. That's how everything was set up so fast. Jeff was their inside man. He knew how I would react and cut me off at the knees. I never thought he would do something like this. I will always wonder why he chose to take her chase. But then you know what? Who gives a fuck about his reasons? Because once he said yes, he no longer existed to me. I had to laugh again, but there was a difference. It was just another reason to keep on crossing the line. I was becoming a different person. Hate can do that to you. I went to a lawyer of a different kind, Stevie crossed. Stevie was known as the scum of the earth. His motto was, if you got the money, go for it. He was about to close his office when I found him. I asked him if he wanted a case that would soon have national exposure. He saw dollar signs, unlocked his door, and we went in. I wrote him a check for $10,000. I told him he would have to bail me out sooner or later. He told me he couldn't be a party to anything illegal. I told him what I had planned. He laughed so hard he spit his gum out. I went home. When I got there, a deputy sitting in the driveway. He stepped out of his car and asked who I was. I showed him my identification. He gave me an envelope and told me, "You've been served." I went into the house and threw the papers in the trash. I didn't even look at them. Next, I made a few calls, got something to eat, and went to bed. Tomorrow would be a new day. After a good night's sleep, I brushed my teeth, used some mouthwash, and combed my hair. After all, I had to look my best. As soon as I stepped out the door to get the newspaper, blam, they were on me. "Mr. Jensen, is it true your wife is a teacher and is pregnant by your underage brother?" asked one reporter. Then another asked what school she teaches at. Another asked why she is still on the streets. I said, "I don't know, you have to, as the assistant district attorney," that one. From that moment, life became hell for everyone involved in this sad case. Reporters were staked outside Amy's school, my parents' house, Jeff's office, and Amy's sister's house. Jeff loved publicity, but not this kind. When Amy and my former parents first approached Jeff, he was under the impression that Rob was at least 18, not 17. The next thing that pissed off Jeff even more was when his office was picketed by a family rights advocates group. One of the protesters threw cow's piss on him. The next morning, I appeared on Nancy Grace. She called Amy everything but a child of God. If any of you watch Nancy Grace's TV show, you know once she gets hold of a story, she's like a dog with a bone. From the first moment till the end of the story, Nancy and her reports were all over Amy and her merry band of fuck-ups. Hello everybody. A child molester is running free on our streets and pregnant by a young, impressionable young man. And where is the district attorney? Yelled Nancy. I recorded the show. I looked rather dapper if I say so myself, but the camera does add 10 pounds. 2 days later, Amy was arrested for sex with a minor, breaking the public trust and our word. Rob was removed from my parents' custody and went to a juvenile facility. Eventually, he and my parents learned he had to stay there until he turned 18. A month later, I was sitting in the courtroom opposite of Amy and my ex-family. She was being represented by the asshole that used to be my friend. The only one whom I felt sorry for was my mom. She just sat there with a sad look. It was heartbreaking, but then so is life. Over the last month, Amy and Mrs. Jensen called me hundreds of times, asking if I would sit down and talk to them before it got too far. I asked Amy one question: "Did you sit and talk to me before you fucked my brother?" She didn't answer, so there was no need to talk. After Amy was arrested, my kids were returned to me. In a quick custody hearing, the judge awarded me full custody, child support, and the home that was in my name already. As the criminal trial approached, I was set to testify. I wanted to make sure that Hoare served a long time in prison, but it wasn't to be. Amy never went to trial. She took a plea bargain and got 3.5 years. In her statement at sentencing, she begged for my forgiveness. I almost felt sorry for her. Her life was in ruins. Her teaching career was over, and worse or best of all, she would have to register as a sex offender for the rest of her life. It's been 4 years since then. I took the kids and moved 2,000 miles away. We are a 7-member family now, my 3 sons and Amy's 2 little girls. We're like a smaller version of the Brady Bunch. I know the crowd are going to call me a wimp. And you know what? They would be fucking wrong. Do you think I'm stupid enough to stay with any whore that would fuck my ex-little brother? No. What do you think about this story? Share your thoughts down in the comments section. Make sure to subscribe to WTF Media for more stories. I upload real-life stories daily on my channel, so make sure to subscribe to it.